Welcome to a new edition of DevLive, a dialogue with speakers and partners about the largest conference dedicated to developers and IT professionals in Romania, DevTalks. I'm Andrea Balac, and I have the honor today to introduce Dr. Melanie Rieback, the CEO and co-founder of Radically Open Security. Dr. Melanie will join us on the security stage. Welcome, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Can you tell us more about you, your role as co-founder and CEO at Open Radically Security?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Radically Open Security. We are a 8-year-old social enterprise in the cybersecurity space. We do primarily pen testing and security audits, but we also do some trainings, social engineering, incident response, a few other things. And I'm basically the CEO, so I'm kind of running the company for the most part, but well, not entirely, because of course we've got a great team, and we try to be somewhat horizontally managed. But nonetheless, that's basically what I do.
I assume that behind all your work is your passion when you co-founded the company also. When did you know that your passion will make you so successful?
You never know that your passion per se is going to make you successful. And anyway, how do you define success, right? So and anyway, I'm not sure that's per se the reason why I've been doing it. I really started, Radically Open Security just because I wasn't entirely happy with the way things were being done on the industry. A lot of sort of market leaders were being very sort of closed and opaque in the way in which they were working with customers. And I'm very much more about openness and transparency and open source. And I just figured, I think I can do things better. And I also wanted to create a company that gives its profits away to charities. So, for me, it's always really very much been about social impact. For me, what I'm really proud of is just the fact that Radically Open Security has given almost €750,000 to an internet-related charity called NLNet, and that gets redistributed to great open source and GNU and Tor and Jitsi, EFF, DNS, Sec, WireGuard. All those projects that make the internet better. So, as for it's not about me. It's more just about like the really great collective of people that we've gotten together, and the fact that we can do cybersecurity in a way that we can sort of optimally make other things better. So that for me is sort of more what it's about.
That's very humble of you to say that. What's the most innovative solution you successfully implemented in the field of security?
Well, I think the workflow that we use during pen testing is pretty innovative. It's called Peek Over Our Shoulder. So we basically created this workflow in which customers join us in these chat rooms, and they can actually interact with us and observe us while we're busy breaking their stuff. So, of course, it's really entertaining, but it's also really mostly the point is to try and transfer the hacker mindset while we're working, because, of course, security is a process and it's a mindset. It's not just a set of patches that you receive in a pen test report. So anything that we can do to try to make the whole process more open and transparent, that really improves things, because the more the customer can internalize the hacker mindset, the less likely they are to make the same silly mistakes again in the future. So, of course, a workflow is one thing, but we needed all kinds of tooling that we developed around it to support the workflow. So we have developed a suite that is called Pentext, and we've also open sourced this and made it an OWASP project.
Okay. What's the hardest, but also your favorite part in your work?
Oh gosh, the hardest part, but also the best part, probably dealing with people.
I like this answer. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology is easy, people are hard, and just, of course, Yeah, dealing with penetration testers, I've got a whole company of incredibly highly intelligent and also very opinionated people who are completely anti-authoritarian. So, of course, trying to lead a group of these people is quite interesting. But I come from the culture too, so I mean, we of course have mutual respect, and to be quite honest, a group like that can't be led, and nor should you aspire to. I mean, you basically just need to like point in a vague direction and then sort of let them do their thing.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, but then again, I mean, a lot of these people, I mean, they're extremely idealistic. They're very brilliant, and a lot of them can just really break things. I mean, some of these folks are just secret weapons. You just kind of let them loose, and they'll destroy whatever's in their path. So, I mean, it's for me certainly it's an honor to be able to work with such a highly skilled and intelligent group of people. But of course, it also brings challenges. So,
Yeah, that's for sure. Do you have any fears, concerns in what regards the future of security?
well, I think that we've somehow found an equilibrium. I mean, in the cybersecurity space. So I'm not usually tremendously worried about having the bad guys destroy everything, just because I think the majority of them, if they did, it would destroy their own business model. So, I mean, in that sense, a lot of things have stayed the same in cybersecurity since the 1980s. I mean, a lot of the most basic attacks, the buffer overflows and script injection attacks. I mean, a lot of what we now deal with every day, of course, has been a problem for longer. It's mostly just the actual domain, the technology itself that has changed over the years. So in that sense, I mean, there is a lot to be worried about, but somehow there's also a steady state that also exists. At the same time, I mean, what to actually be worried about? I mean, anything that's actually attempting to be disruptive or destructive rather than doing it for financial reasons. So cyber warfare, cyber terrorism. I mean, if people are just aiming to destroy things, of course, that sort of I think changes the equation slightly. That being said, I don't think that kind of cyber terrorism necessarily is that easy to do. Not to say that you can't, and of course there have been established cases, but I don't know. I mean, honestly, all things considered, I mean, of course, I think as a person, I'm a lot more worried right now about what's going on in the Ukraine and, Mr. Putin pushing red buttons. I think that's far more on my mind. But, and as for cyber warfare, I mean, it's been going on for much longer. So in that sense, over the last number of months, I mean, we've seen some of it, but it's mostly been directed towards the Ukraine. So I think here in Europe, it's not to say that cyber attacks can't escape the Ukraine. Of course, in the case of my Petya, it did, and also created some havoc in the Rotterdam harbor. But but mostly, I mean, somehow it just seems like we find a balance with this stuff. So yeah.
Okay. So that kind of leads to my next question: how do you feel the industry has changed in the last, I don't know, 5, maybe more accelerated in the last 2 years? Have been major changes there in the industry, maybe?
Yeah, 2 years. Well, like I said, I think some things stay the same and other things change. I mean, look, I mean, every year there's new black boxes, proprietary black boxes coming out that are doing yet some slightly different form of monitoring, and they're getting a lot of VC money, growing exponentially, becoming the next unicorn, and then getting taken over by somebody else. I mean, the details of who is doing this changes every year, but sort of the activity itself kind of stays the same. So in that sense, I mean, I think there is certainly, they're the real innovations. I mean, occasionally on the technological level, I mean, we start getting new classes of exploits, but by and large, though, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm still sort of in the camp that a lot of things do. I mean, the technology changes, but I mean, other things that sort of are up and coming. I mean, it's really easy to look at the metaverse and
Yeah.
cryptocurrency and NFTs and say, oh, but this is changing everything. But again, if you sort of peel it all back, I mean, of course, Second Life has been around for longer, and cryptocurrency also. I mean, David Chaum was doing DigiCash in the 1980s at the CWI in Amsterdam, and the same thing with blockchains. I mean, we also had Lamport clocks and Merkle trees and everything also since that period of time. The real thing is just that has been changing is sort of the uptake and the economic aspects of it, and the fact that people started speculating on this. So that, I mean, obviously has changed and accelerated and gotten a lot of people excited. So, I mean, I try not to get too swept up in the fads and in the buzzwords, just because a lot of stuff is sometimes it's just older things getting recycled and getting a new marketing term, and then getting VCs behind it who are basically speculating with large amounts of money. So, yeah, but that being said, I mean, it's the usual cat and mouse game with the technology and then with the attackers. So.
That being said, leads to your talk at DevTalks. You'll be present on the security stage with a keynote about openness and ethical hacking. Can you share more ideas with us about your keynote, your talk?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to completely spoiler the talk that I'll be giving at your conference, but I mean, what I can say is, I mean, certainly part of it is about things like the conflicts of interest between our business models and the actual security goals that we're aiming to, that we're aiming to promote. I mean, together as an industry. I mean, the fact that sort of working together and data sharing and IOC sharing and open source, comes a whole lot closer sometimes to getting us towards a safer world than just building our own little proprietary boxes. I mean, I'll be talking a bit about that, and I also have quite a few battle stories also about different kinds of assignments that we've done. I mean, all kinds of things from incident response and ransomware cases to work that we've done for the European Commission with COVID contact tracing apps to all different things like that.
We don't want to spoil, but of course we're looking for your talk, and we'll see you on the security stage. I also wanted to ask you more about the way you stay inspired, and what resources do you use to constantly learn in your field?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm surrounded by good people, so in that sense, I mean that really helps. We've got really active online chat rooms, and people are constantly posting news, about the latest developments, the latest exploits, the latest issues. I mean, of course, like for example, from a few days ago, I mean, the way that the European Commission is trying to bring in some basically some filtering technology against sexually explicit material, for children, CSAM. But the fact that is also sweeping and can lead to surveillance issues. I mean, there's constantly something going on in the community that we should be aware of, and that we can spread awareness about or do something about. I mean, not to mention just the latest exploits, that are coming along that we also need in our jobs as pen testers. So, some of it comes from newsletters, some of it comes from Twitter, some of it comes from Dragon News Bites. I mean, there's all kinds of really great resources that are out there that are keeping us up on what's happening in cybersecurity. And there's also great podcasts, and I mean, there's a lot of really great materials out there.
Okay, and that's a useful information to stay aware and to be vigilant. Maybe we can share at one moment one talk about it, or maybe some resources, to be more aware of what's happening. I also wanted to give a message for the Romanian IT community from your part. So if you would leave a message for the IT community here in Romania, what would be your message? What would be your words that come across your mind?
Yeah. I would just say, it's really easy in a world with cybercrime to be scared and to be pessimistic and to throw up our hands and say, oh, we're losing everything. But let's, try and keep up the hope here. I mean, again, this stuff isn't necessarily a zero-sum game, and we also should keep in mind that in cybersecurity, your company has no competitors. So we can get much more as defenders by collaborating and working together with those even in the same industry as us that we would traditionally perceive as being competitors. Because if we can build together on common tools, if we can share intelligence about campaigns that we've seen, hacking techniques, things we can put into our monitoring systems and other indicators of compromise. There's a lot that we can do, together. So I would say just like try not to get sucked into that pit of despair, and instead just really think about what kinds of proactive activities you can really take up that we can do together. Because it's really, I think, with hope and optimism and collaboration that we're going to be able to make things better.
Okay, so basically to join our forces and to find a common solution in order
Exactly.
to, yeah. Thank you for sharing these thoughts with us. It was an honor talking with you, and we're looking forward for your keynote. Now we are approaching so rapidly to DevTalks 2022, so I'll leave the audience with the message to join us on 8th and 10th of June and get inspired by a fantastic lineup of speakers and over 40 partners that are trusting us. So thank you for this day, and have a great evening ahead.
Thank you.